Your to-do list feels like a cage. The constant pressure to choose, to achieve, to keep up, leaves you drained by mid-morning. 2,000 years ago, the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius faced a similar struggle, writing, "Our actions may be impeded, but there can be no impeding our intentions or our dispositions." This ancient wisdom offers a way out of modern overwhelm. In this video, you will learn how to apply the Stoic art of intentional priority setting to reclaim your focus and your peace of mind. We will explore how to distinguish between what you can control and what you cannot, and how to cultivate a deep, unshakable calm from which your most important actions can flow. What single choice feels most overwhelming to you right now? The cage of modern overwhelm begins to unlock with a single, profound distinction. That first step in Stoic priority setting demands a radical honesty about what you can actually influence. The ancient Stoics called this the dichotomy of control, and it is the non-negotiable foundation for a calm and intentional life. It asks you to separate everything in your world into two simple categories. On one side are the things that are truly up to us. These are our own judgments, our values, our desires, and the actions we choose to take. Everything else, and this is the vast majority of what occupies our thoughts, falls into the second category. This includes external events, the actions of other people, our reputations, and even our own physical well-being to a large degree. Your priorities, if they are to bring you peace and not anxiety, must be built exclusively upon that first, much smaller list. The philosopher Epictetus opens his manual for life, the Enchiridion, with this very point. He writes, "Some things are up to us, and some are not up to us. Our opinions are up to us, our impulses, desires, aversions. Our bodies are not up to us, our possessions, our reputations, our public offices." When you build your priorities on the shifting sand of external outcomes, you are setting stripped away. What would you cling to as truly good? The Stoics offered a radical answer to this question, one that cuts through the noise of endless wants. They defined a clear hierarchy of good, placing virtue alone at the summit. Wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. These are the only things that are genuinely good because their worth comes entirely from within us and can never be taken away. Everything else, from wealth and health to reputation and comfort, they saw as preferred or dispreferred indifference. These things have value, but they are not fundamentally good because they are not fully within our power to secure or keep. This distinction is not a dismissal of life's comforts, but a profound reordering of what we build our lives upon. When you grasp this hierarchy, the act of setting priorities is dramatically simplified. The Stoic asks one primary question before any commitment: does this action express virtue? The Roman philosopher Seneca reflected on the human tendency to misplace our values in his letters. He observed how we chase after externals as if they were the source of happiness, only to find ourselves anxious and unfulfilled. Consider a difficult conversation you need to have. The preferred outcome might be to be liked, to avoid conflict, to maintain a comfortable silence. But the virtuous priority is to act with integrity and justice, to speak the truth with courage and kindness, regardless of the reception. One path chases an external you cannot control, the other fulfills an inner good that you can. Your to-do list is a map of your values. Examine it closely. Which items align with cultivating virtue, and which are merely chasing external preferences? This single question can clear the fog of indecision, revealing a path forward lit by your own inner compass. Even the most fortified inner citadel can feel besieged by the relentless chatter of daily life. It is in these moments that the Stoics turned to a powerful mental exercise known as the view from above. This is not an escape from reality, but a profound tool for recalibrating your sense of scale. Imagine your consciousness rising, lifting you high above your immediate surroundings. You see your town, then your country, the entire earth as a pale blue dot hanging in the vast quiet of space. From this cosmic vantage point, the traffic jam that disrupted your morning, the critical email from a colleague, the endless list of minor tasks, all of it shrinks into a new perspective. Marcus Aurelius regularly practiced this shift in viewpoint, reminding himself in his meditations to recall how small is the realm of your political life, and that the whole earth is a point in the universe. He was not dismissing his responsibilities, but rather seeing them in their true proportion. This mental zoom out is a deliberate act to quiet the noise of passing irritations, allowing what is genuinely significant to come into sharp focus. When you feel overwhelmed by a full schedule, try this exercise for just a moment. Look at your list from this elevated viewpoint. Which of these tasks will truly matter a year from now, or even a month from now? The frantic urgency often softens, revealing the few priorities that align with your deeper values and lasting impact. When you view your current concerns from a wider perspective, how does their importance change? The Stoics practiced a powerful form of mental preparation they called Premeditatio Malorum. This is the calm and deliberate contemplation of potential setbacks, not as a rehearsal for disaster, but as a kind of preparation for the mind. By thoughtfully considering what could go differently than hoped, we strengthen our inner stability for the unexpected when it arrives. Seneca captured the essence of this practice perfectly, writing, "The wise man considers adversity a test of his powers, to be counted an opportunity, and he will be sure to direct the course of his life accordingly." This is not about fostering a fearful imagination. It is about building resilience by clarifying in advance what your true focus will be when things do not go according to plan. Your focus is never the smooth, uninterrupted outcome which you cannot control. Your focus is your thoughtful response which you can always guide. Imagine you are leading a critical project at work. You could fixate on the single goal of a flawless launch on a specific date, a future outcome tangled with external factors. A Stoic approach would be to sit down beforehand and calmly consider the possible challenges. A key team member might become unavailable. A supplier could experience a delay. The market might shift. By premeditating these possibilities, you are not inviting them to happen. You are instead strengthening your resolve to keep your core priority centered on adaptable, diligent effort and clear judgment, no matter what unfolds. The goal shifts from a rigid attachment to a timeline to a flexible commitment to doing your best work with the circumstances as they are. This mental rehearsal eases the anxiety of the unknown, allowing you to face any result with a steadier hand and a calmer heart. What single potential challenge to your main focus can you calmly contemplate today to fortify your own resolve? Amor Fati is the ultimate expression of this Stoic calm, a love of one's fate that turns every circumstance into fuel for a purposeful life. The philosopher Epictetus, who understood profound personal challenges, gave this principle its most direct command. He instructed his students to seek not that events should happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and your life will be serene. This is not a call for passive resignation. It is an active, dynamic embrace of reality as it is, not as we wish it were. Every event, especially the difficult and unexpected ones, becomes raw material for practicing virtue and setting priorities that matter. A barrier is no longer a stop sign. It is the very terrain on which you build your character. Consider the jarring experience of an unexpected job transition. The initial reaction is often one of surprise, concern, and a sense of disruption. The priority that emerges from that place of resistance might be a hurried search for any available position, a chase for the stability that was lost. But Amor Fati invites a different response. It asks you to embrace this shift not as a disaster, but as a necessary opening. This event, however unwelcome, has cleared the board of a path you may have felt confined by. It creates the space to ask fundamental questions that a comfortable routine often suppresses. What work truly aligns with my core values? Where can I contribute with genuine purpose, rather than just collecting a title? The priority shifts from hastily rebuilding the old structure to intentionally designing a new one, built on a deeper understanding of what brings meaning. The obstacle in this new light becomes the very catalyst for a more aligned life. How could loving your current circumstances exactly as they are reveal a new priority you have been overlooking? Your freedom to choose your priorities resides in a single, breath-sized space. This is the Stoic Discipline of Assent, the conscious practice of withholding your immediate judgment on any thought or event that enters your awareness. It is in that brief pause, that gap between the initial impression and your full reaction, where you reclaim the power to direct your focus with intention. The Stoic teacher Epictetus offered a foundational insight into this process, stating that people are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. An event in itself holds no power to command your attention. It is the story you instantly tell yourself about that event, the judgment you attach to it, that guides your emotional response and in turn reshapes your priorities for the day. Consider the moment you receive a strongly worded email. The initial impression, the raw stimulus, is simply text on a screen, but without the discipline of assent, your mind instantly crafts a narrative. You feel challenged, your work is being scrutinized, you believe you must drop everything and craft a reply immediately. This judgment, accepted without question, instantly reorders your entire to-do list. The important project you plan to focus on is set aside, replaced by the sudden urgency of this perceived situation. Now, imagine applying that crucial pause. You read the email, you feel the initial surge of energy, but instead of clicking reply, you take one deliberate breath. You create a space to ask a simple question. Is this truly something demanding my immediate attention, or is it simply an uncomfortable message? By withholding your assent from that first, intense interpretation, you create the room for a thoughtful assessment. You might decide the email requires a response, but it can be scheduled for later in the day, after you have honored your preset priority of completing your core work. The event did not change, your reaction to it, and therefore the priority you assigned it, was transformed by a single moment of conscious hesitation. Where in the flow of your own day could implementing this deliberate pause bring a new level of clarity to what truly deserves your energy? The awareness of our finite time is the ultimate editor of a life cluttered with distractions. The Stoic practice of Memento Mori, the remembrance of our own transition, serves this exact purpose. It is not a dark obsession with an ending, but a brilliant tool for clarifying what deserves a place in your limited days. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private thoughts, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." He was not suggesting a life of frantic, desperate activity. He was pointing toward a life of profound focus, where every action is chosen with the weight of its true significance in mind. When you genuinely hold the awareness that your time is finite, the unimportant tasks, the petty grievances, and the endless chasing of external validation begin to lose their power over you. They are exposed for what they are, distractions from the essential work of living a virtuous and meaningful life. A simple yet powerful way to apply this is to end your day with a quiet reflection. Ask yourself one piercing question. If today were my last, would I be proud of how I spent my time and my energy? This is not a call for dramatic, life-altering deeds every single day. It is a gentle, consistent check on the alignment of your daily priorities with your deepest values. Did you act with kindness? Did you pursue what truly matters to you? Did you waste your focus on things you cannot control? This nightly review becomes a compass, constantly correcting your course toward what is genuinely significant. So let that question settle for a moment. What one thing would you stop doing immediately if you truly internalized the fact that your time here is not unlimited? The Stoic Reserve Clause is the final piece that unites your inner calm with decisive action in the world. It is the quiet phrase fate permitting that you add to every plan and every priority you set. This is not a superstitious hope for good luck, but a profound psychological tool for engaged yet flexible commitment. You give your full energy to your chosen course while holding the final result with an open hand. Seneca captures this thoughtful balance perfectly, advising us to commit to our plans while saying, if nothing happens to prevent it. This single mental shift allows you to pour your effort into what you can influence, without tying your peace of mind to an outcome you cannot command. Imagine setting a priority to improve your physical health through a consistent running routine. The Stoic approach is to dedicate yourself fully to that intention. You research a training plan, you schedule your runs, you give each session your focused attention. This is your sphere of action. The reserve clause is the gentle understanding you hold alongside that effort. It is the recognition that a sudden change in circumstances or an unexpected physical challenge could alter your plan. This awareness is not a passive surrender. It is the wisdom that your core commitment is not to a perfect running streak, but to your overall well-being. If something shifts, your priority does not break. It simply adapts. The path may change from running to another form of movement, but your fundamental intention to care for your health remains steady and your calm undisturbed. Your effort was never wasted because the value was in the purposeful act of striving itself, not in the uncertain external outcome of an unbroken record. How could adding a mental reserve clause to your main goal today increase your peace of mind and focus? This serene state of mind the Stoics called Apatheia is often misunderstood. It is not a cold, emotionless void, but a profound freedom from the turbulent storms of irrational passion that so often seize control of our choices. Think of it as the clear, calm sky after a passing squall, a condition of inner stillness where your judgment is no longer clouded by the weather of your own intense reactions. This freedom is the essential soil from which clear, intentional priorities can finally take root and grow. Epictetus taught that our freedom is secured not by contorting ourselves to obtain the things we desire, but by ceasing to desire things that are not up to us. When you stop twisting your priorities to grasp at external validations, you untangle yourself from the very source of your inner turmoil. Apatheia, then, is this active state of being undisturbed by the passions that would otherwise hijack your focus. It is important to distinguish this from healthy emotions. The Stoics did not seek to eliminate natural feelings of joy, affection, or caution. They aimed to master the overwhelming passions like consuming envy, blinding frustration, or paralyzing worry, emotions that flood the system and make wise choice impossible. Imagine you learn of a colleague's significant professional success. A sudden surge of envy is the initial, involuntary impression. Without apatheia, that feeling can quickly dictate a new, reactive priority for your day. You might drop your own meaningful work to engage in unhealthy comparison, or hastily commit to a competitive project born not from purpose, but from a need to keep up. This is the passion commanding your actions. Practicing apatheia allows you to acknowledge the feeling of envy as it arises, to observe it with curiosity, but to consciously withhold your assent from the unhelpful narratives it spins. You can note the emotion without letting it become the author of your to-do list. From that place of calm, you are free to return your focus to your own path, to the priorities that align with your growth and values, not your fears. Your colleague's success becomes a simple fact of the world, not a command that scrambles your entire sense of direction. What passion, like a lingering fear of missing out or a simmering frustration, is currently distorting your own sense of what is truly important? The ink of your pen becomes a mirror for your mind, reflecting the true shape of your daily choices. Stoic journaling is far more than a diary of events. It is a disciplined nightly audit of your priority alignment, a quiet space where your actions are considered not by their outcomes but by their intent. Seneca championed this practice in his letters, writing that the mind should be called to give an account of itself every day. He believed this daily self-examination was the very mechanism of moral progress. The process is built upon three simple yet profoundly revealing questions. First, what did I do well today? This is not an exercise in ego, but a search for evidence of virtue in action. Did you show patience in a moment of frustration? Did you act with justice when it was difficult? Acknowledging these small victories reinforces the behaviors you wish to cultivate. The second question invites thoughtful reflection. What could I improve? The Stoic approach here is gentle but firm, focusing on your own judgments and choices, not on the actions of others. Did a fear of missing out lead you to say yes to a commitment that diluted your focus? Did a desire for external validation cause you to prioritize a task that was ultimately unimportant? This is where you notice the subtle shifts in your daily navigation. The third and most crucial question ties everything together. Were my actions aligned with my core values? This is the ultimate measure for your priorities. A practical structure for this is to keep it brief and focused. Dedicate just 5 minutes each evening. Write 1 or 2 sentences for each question. The goal is not a lengthy narrative, but a clear, concise report on the state of your inner governance. This nightly review acts as a gentle but consistent course correction, like a sailor constantly checking their compass against the stars. It ensures that the small, daily currents of distraction and reaction do not slowly carry you far from your intended path. If you committed to 5 minutes of journaling tonight, what one misaligned priority might you discover quietly steering your ship off course? A promotion or a larger bank account often feels like the ultimate measure of a life well lived. Yet the Stoics placed these pursuits in a surprising category they called preferred indifference. Wealth and status were seen as having value, much like fair weather on a journey, but they could never be considered true goods in themselves. Their worth is entirely conditional, dependent on how they are used, and they can be lost as easily as they are gained. To build your core priorities upon such shifting ground is to construct your house upon sand. The Roman teacher Musonius Rufus offered a strikingly practical view on this. He argued that the wealth a person needs is not great, suggesting that only a small amount is required to meet the basic needs of the body. This is not a call for poverty, but a profound reminder of sufficiency. When our fundamental needs for shelter, nourishment, and community are met, the relentless pursuit of more often reflects an inner restlessness, not a genuine necessity. Consider the modern crossroads of a career choice. One path offers a significant salary increase, but it comes with overwhelming demands, constant travel, and a schedule that consumes your entire life. The other provides a comfortable, sufficient living while granting you the irreplaceable resources of time and mental space. The Stoic would ask you to see this not as a choice between success and failure, but as a choice between a preferred indifferent and a genuine good. The higher salary is merely a tool. The time and peace of mind, however, are the very conditions that allow you to practice the virtues of being a present family member, a thoughtful friend, and a person capable of deep, philosophical reflection on your life. The priority, then, shifts from accumulating the tool to cultivating the life the tool is meant to serve. So, pause and look honestly at your own ambitions. In what area of your life are you treating a preferred indifferent like status or income, as if it were the highest good, and in doing so, sacrificing the very peace it was supposed to provide? A philosophy of calm focus is not a retreat from the world. Stoicism, at its heart, is a deeply social practice that calls us to recognize our fundamental duty to the human community. Justice stands as one of the 4 cardinal virtues, a reminder that our priorities are not just a personal matter, but are woven into our relationships with others. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius reflected on this inherent connection in his Meditations, writing, "We are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of the upper and lower teeth." To act against one another, then, is contrary to nature. This sense of purpose extends beyond our immediate self-interest. The Stoic teacher Hierocles illustrated this with his beautiful model of the circles of concern. He described our lives as a series of concentric circles. At the center is your own mind. The next circle holds your immediate family. Then comes your extended family, followed by your local community, your fellow citizens, and ultimately all of humanity. The work of a virtuous life, he suggested, is to continually draw these outer circles inward, to extend the same care and consideration you give to yourself to an ever-widening group of people. This is justice in action, and it must inform how you set your daily priorities. Consider the choice between an evening of personal leisure and spending that same time supporting a friend navigating a difficult personal transition. The easy, default priority might be to protect your own comfort and relaxation. But the Stoic, examining this through the lens of justice and the circles of concern, sees a clear call to duty. Your friend exists within a circle very close to your own. Helping them is not a distraction from your path, it is an expression of it. It is the practical application of the virtue of justice, prioritizing your role as a supportive member of your community. This does not mean abandoning self-care, but rather integrating it into a wider understanding of your responsibilities. So look at the circles of your own life this week. Which of your social circles, whether family, friends, or colleagues, could benefit from you consciously reprioritizing your time and attention? Our deepest priorities are often held back by a quiet fear of discomfort. The Stoics engaged in a deliberate practice to break this chain, a form of mental and physical training known as voluntary discomfort. This is not a pursuit of hardship for its own sake, but a conscious, temporary choice to step away from life's comforts in order to prove to yourself that you are stronger than your circumstances. Seneca wrote powerfully about this, advising his friend Lucilius to set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the most modest and simple fare, saying to yourself the while, "Is this the condition that I feared?" By occasionally practicing a form of intentional simplicity, you are not punishing yourself. You are systematically loosening the grip that the fear of loss holds over your choices. You are building a resilience that ensures your priorities are set from a place of strength and intention, not from a need to avoid any form of difficulty. A modern application of this could be as simple as choosing to turn off the car's heating on a cool morning, accepting the brief chill to remind your body and mind of its own capacity to adapt. Or it might be a one-day pause from the constant comfort of social media, creating a space of quiet that proves your focus is not dependent on outside stimulation. These small acts are like drills for the spirit. They train you to recognize that comfort, while pleasant, is not a necessity for your peace or your purpose. When you know you can thrive without a certain convenience, you are no longer compelled to shape your entire life around securing it. This freedom allows you to choose priorities based on what is meaningful, not merely what is comfortable. What small comfort could you voluntarily set aside this week to strengthen your commitment to a more important priority? The present moment is the only piece of time you can ever truly command. While we often feel pulled into thoughts about what has already happened or concerns about what is yet to come, the Stoics identified this as the primary thief of our focus and our peace. Your past actions are fixed, a matter of historical record you can no longer alter. The future remains a realm of possibility, shaped by countless factors beyond your sole control. But this moment, the one you are breathing in right now, is your exclusive domain. It is the only real arena where your priorities can be lived, not just listed. Seneca, in his profound letter on the shortness of life, confronts this human tendency to misplace our time. He observes, "We are not given a short life, but we make it so, and we are not ill-supplied but wasteful of it." Our life is long enough, he insists, if we know how to use it. The waste he describes is not idleness, but the mental energy spent dwelling in the two places we can never actually inhabit, the unchangeable past and the unpredictable future. This scattering of attention is what makes a to-do list feel so oppressive. It becomes a catalogue of future demands and past shortcomings rather than a map for present action. The most beautifully defined priority is meaningless if it is never brought into the now. The solution lies in a radical narrowing of focus. Take a large, seemingly overwhelming goal, like writing a book or mastering a new skill. Viewed in its entirety, the project can feel paralyzing. The Stoic approach is to dissolve that monolithic task into a single, concrete action that belongs entirely to today. The priority is not to write a book, a future outcome filled with uncertainty. The priority for this one morning is to write 300 words with clarity and purpose. That is an action fully within your power. It is a small, manageable piece of the whole that you can execute with your full attention, bringing your important goal from the abstract future into the tangible present. This is how you reclaim your time from worry and put it to work on what matters. So, bring your awareness to your most significant intention. Ask yourself this simple, grounding question. What is the one thing within my control that I can do right now to advance it? That quiet whisper of judgment can drain more of your focus than any overflowing inbox. We often assign the opinions of others a starring role in the drama of our daily priorities, allowing the fear of criticism to veto our most meaningful ambitions. The Stoics identified this as a profound misplacement of energy, a theft of attention from what we can truly influence. The philosopher Epictetus offered a characteristically sharp antidote to this anxiety. He said, "If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, 'He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone.'" This is not about arrogance, but about a fundamental reordering of value. The criticism itself, the opinion held in another person's mind, exists entirely outside the sphere of your control. To make it a primary concern is to hand the keys to your focus over to a force you cannot command. Consider the creative project you have been hesitating to start, perhaps writing a book or launching a small business. The initial barrier is rarely a lack of skill or resources. It is the imagined chorus of disapproval, the potential for negative comments or silent judgment from peers. This fear becomes a priority disruptor of the highest order, convincing you that managing perceptions is more urgent than the work itself. But when you consciously release your grip on that external judgment, a remarkable shift occurs. The mental energy once spent on crafting defenses and anticipating criticism is suddenly freed. That energy can now be channeled entirely into the one thing you do control, the diligent, daily effort of bringing your idea to life. The goal ceases to be universal approval, an impossible standard, and becomes the integrity of your own effort, a benchmark you can always meet. What project or goal are you hesitating on primarily because of a fear of others' judgments? Your next breath can be the space that changes everything. This is the essence of the Stoic Pause, a deliberate moment of stillness inserted between the initial spark of an impulse and the action you ultimately take. It is the discipline of assent made practical, a brief buffer that allows your rational mind to step in and assess whether the impulse aligns with your true priorities. In a culture that rewards immediate, reactive busyness, this pause is a quiet act of personal sovereignty. Marcus Aurelius wrote of the power held within our ruling center, our hegemonikon, to simply accept or reject the impressions that flood our minds. He reminded himself that you have power over your mind, not outside events, Realize this and you will find strength. The Stoic pause is the activation of that power. It is the conscious decision to not be swept away by the first wave of a feeling or an external demand. Consider the familiar urge to check your phone the moment a moment of quiet arises. The device buzzes, or even the mere thought of it creates a subtle pull on your attention. Without the pause, your hand moves almost automatically, and you are pulled into a stream of notifications and updates, your planned work forgotten. With a pause, you feel the urge, you acknowledge its presence, but you stop for just 10 seconds. In that quiet space, you create room for your rational faculty to speak. It can ask, does checking this right now serve my priority of focused work, or is it merely a distraction I am accepting out of habit? From that place of clarity, you can consciously choose to return to your intended task, your focus reclaimed by a single, deliberate hesitation. This small space is where you reclaim authorship of your day. Where in your own daily routine could you insert a deliberate 10-second pause to ensure your actions match your intentions? Ambition and contentment seem to pull in opposite directions, yet Stoicism reveals a path where they walk together. The profound peace of being satisfied with virtue does not require you to abandon your drive for excellence. Instead, it reframes the entire purpose of your striving. The Stoic aims for a high standard in every role they play, but they do so with a calm heart, unattached to the specific rewards that may or may not follow. Epictetus offers a beautifully simple directive for this balance, advising us to remember that your part is to play it well, whatever it may be. The part itself is given to you by life, but the quality of your performance is entirely your own choice. This is the core of Stoic ambition, a focused commitment to the process itself. Consider an athlete training for the highest level of competition. The frantic, discontented energy would come from a sole focus on the gold medal, an outcome that depends on the performance of others, the judgment of officials, and simple chance on the day. This external attachment turns training into a source of constant anxiety. The Stoic athlete, however, makes a different priority. Their ambition is channeled into the process they can control, the excellence of their own daily preparation. They prioritize perfecting their form, strengthening their body, and cultivating mental resilience. The medal becomes a preferred outcome, but their core satisfaction is drawn from the knowledge that they have performed their part, that of a dedicated athlete, to the very best of their ability. Whether they stand on the podium or not, their virtue, their excellence of character, remains intact and untarnished. This is the serene fire of Stoic ambition, a drive that energizes without consuming you. So look closely at a central goal in your own life. Ask yourself this clarifying question: is your ambition serving your virtue, or is your virtue being sacrificed for your ambition? A cluttered desk often reflects a cluttered mind, each stray object a silent demand for your attention. The Stoic path to intentional priorities extends beyond your thoughts and into your physical space, viewing minimalism not as an aesthetic trend but as a practical discipline for the soul. By consciously simplifying your surroundings, you systematically remove the external obstacles that stand between you and your focus. Seneca, a man of immense wealth, understood this burden intimately. He wrote that riches have shut off many a person from the attainment of wisdom, not because they are evil, but because they create a constant hum of distraction and concern. Each possession we own carries not just a price tag, but a tiny piece of our mental energy for its maintenance, its protection, and its eventual replacement. This is not a call to renounce all worldly goods, but a strategic reduction of the non-essential, creating an environment where your true priorities can breathe and flourish. A powerful and accessible starting point is the one-in, one-out rule. For every new item you bring into your home, you commit to letting one existing item go. This simple practice transforms consumption from a mindless habit into a conscious choice, forcing a moment of evaluation with every potential acquisition. Does this new thing serve my core priorities better than the thing it is replacing? The same principle applies with even greater force to our digital environments. A periodic digital refresh where you remove unused apps and step back from relentless promotional emails is not just tidying a screen, it is reclaiming acres of your cognitive landscape. Each notification quieted is one less external demand vying for your assent, your focus, and your precious time. So look around your physical space and your digital world with a stoic eye for the essential. What one physical or digital item in your environment is currently distracting you from your core priorities? A clear model of virtue can cut through the fog of conflicting demands. The Stoics often turn to the concept of an ideal sage, a perfectly wise and rational person, as a North Star for their own conduct. More powerfully, they also studied historical figures who embodied these principles, holding them up as living examples of how to navigate life's difficult choices. Think of Cato the Younger, whose unwavering integrity in the face of political challenges became a legend, or Socrates, who chose to accept his fate with calm reason rather than compromise his philosophical commitments. These were not distant idols to be worshipped, but practical templates for making decisions. Seneca captured this practice perfectly in his letters, advising his friend to choose some good person and keep them always before your eyes, to live as if they were watching you. This mental exercise is not about seeking external validation. It is about borrowing a clearer perspective for a moment when your own vision feels clouded. When you are torn between two competing priorities, asking a simple question can bring instant clarity. What would the sage do in this situation? The sage is not swayed by fleeting passions or the lure of external rewards. Their focus remains fixed on what is just, courageous, and wise. Imagine you are faced with a choice between working late to impress a demanding manager or leaving on time to attend your child's important school event. The pressure to perform and the concern about professional outcomes create a storm of anxiety. Now, bring your chosen model of virtue into the room. Would the person you most admire, the one who embodies wisdom and integrity, prioritize appeasing a superior's unpredictable demands or honoring a fundamental commitment to family? The answer, seen through that lens, often becomes startlingly clear. Your priority shifts from reacting to external pressure to acting from an internal compass calibrated by virtue. So I ask you to consider who could serve as your own mental guide. It could be a historical figure, a respected mentor, or even an imagined composite of the qualities you value most. Then carry this question with you into your day. If the person you most admired were silently observing your choices, would they approve of how you are spending your precious time and energy? Stoic acceptance is an act of clear-sighted strength, not a surrender of your will. It begins with the courageous choice to see the world exactly as it is, not as you wish it were. This honest acknowledgement is what separates a life of proactive focus from one of exhausting resistance. Marcus Aurelius captured this active stance perfectly, writing, "Love the humble art you have learned and take rest in it." Pass through the remainder of your days as one who wholeheartedly commits all that is yours to the gods and becomes neither a tyrant nor a slave to any person. This is the essence of acceptance, to commit to your own role while willingly following the necessities that life presents. Think of a seasoned sailor on the open sea. They do not waste their strength or their sanity cursing the direction of the wind, a force entirely beyond their command. Instead, they accept the wind's reality without complaint. This acceptance is what allows them to then turn their full attention and skill to the one thing they can control, adjusting the sails. Their energy flows not into a futile battle against the unchangeable, but into the masterful navigation of their vessel through it. Your life is that vessel. The unchangeable realities you face, whether they are aspects of your personal history, certain limitations, or the actions of others, are your winds and currents. To fight them is to remain stuck, exhausted, and drifting. To accept them is to free up all your power for setting a new course. Consider the reality of managing a persistent health situation. Passive resignation would be to see it as a final defeat, a reason to abandon all meaningful priorities. Stoic acceptance offers a different path. It is the clear-eyed acknowledgement that this situation is now a part of the landscape of your life, a fixed parameter. With that reality fully accepted, your energy is no longer consumed by the futile question of why me, or the desperate hope for a different past. That liberated energy can now be channeled into the priorities that remain entirely within your power. You can prioritize adapting your work to honor your energy levels. You can focus on the depth of your relationships, offering kindness and wisdom from your unique perspective. You can choose a life of service and meaning designed thoughtfully within the parameters you have been given. The situation does not disappear, but your struggle with it does, and in that peace, your true priorities can finally emerge and flourish. So ask yourself with gentle honesty, what unchangeable reality are you currently fighting against, and how could simply accepting it as fact, not as fate, unlock the energy you need for the priorities you can actually change? The scarcity mindset is a quiet thief of focus, whispering that you need more before you can begin your real work. Stoic gratitude is the practice of locking the door. It is not a warm, fuzzy emotion that happens to you, but a disciplined act of recognition, a deliberate turning of your attention to the abundance that already exists. This shift from acquisition to appreciation fundamentally rewires your sense of priority. Marcus Aurelius began his own days with this mental recalibration, writing in his meditations, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." He was not ignoring life's difficulties, but actively building a foundation of strength by first acknowledging his existing provisions for the journey. This practice directly counters the feeling of not enough that drives so much of our frantic, misguided striving. When you operate from a belief in lack, your priorities inevitably lean toward filling the perceived void, chasing external validations and possessions you believe will finally make you whole. Gratitude reveals that you are never empty to begin with. A simple and profound way to embed this is to begin each morning, before your feet even touch the floor, by mentally listing 3 things you are grateful for that are aligned with virtue. You are not giving thanks for a new car or a promotion, but for the fundamental goods. You might appreciate the health that allows you to serve others, the soundness of mind that enables you to learn and reason, or the loyalty of a friend which reflects the virtue of connection. This daily ritual does not change your circumstances, but it dramatically alters the lens through which you view your entire to-do list. The day's tasks are no longer a desperate scramble to acquire what is missing, but a purposeful expression of thanks for what you have already been given. How would your priorities shift if you started each day from a place of deep gratitude for what you already have? Anger is the fire that can weaken the inner strength you have worked so carefully to build. In a single moment, it can consume the intentional calm that makes thoughtful priorities possible, leaving only the residue of reactive impulse. The Stoic philosopher Seneca devoted an entire work to this powerful emotion, describing anger as a brief departure from reason, a temporary state that can take over a rational mind. He observed that it is a chosen hardship born from the belief that we have been harmed or treated unfairly by something outside our control. This belief, accepted without a pause, gives anger its ability to reshape your priorities for the worse. Imagine the moment you receive a message filled with what feels like unfair criticism. The initial, raw impression is one of frustration, a sudden rush of heat. The untrained mind quickly agrees with a story of injustice, and the focus of your entire afternoon shifts. Your attention to a meaningful project is set aside, replaced by the pressing, urgent need to craft a response, to make your view clear and protect your sense of worth. The Stoic response is not to ignore the feeling, but to intercept the belief before it can take charge. In that important space between the message and your reply, you practice the discipline of pausing before you agree. You recognize the feeling of anger as a signal, not a command. You might even gently note to yourself, "I am feeling the first warmth of frustration, but I do not yet have to decide if I have truly been treated unfairly." From that quiet center, your true priority can return. Is your aim to win a small disagreement, or is it to address the deeper matter with wisdom and keep your own peace? By not feeding the first spark, you allow the heat to fade, leaving your clarity undisturbed and your attention undivided. Think of a recent moment of frustration. How did its strong, persuasive intensity reshape your view of what really mattered in that situation? Your life is a single, coherent story you are writing every day. The scattered pressures and reactive choices of the moment can make it feel like a series of disconnected scenes, but the Stoic art of priority setting asks you to step back and see the entire narrative arc. This is the long view, the perspective that allows you to choose actions today that will cohere into a meaningful whole tomorrow, next year, and across the full span of your existence. Seneca beautifully captured this idea when he reflected that life is like a play. What matters is not how long it is, but how well it is performed. The performance he speaks of is not a single, dramatic act, but the consistent quality of your character and the integrity of your choices from beginning to end. When you adopt this vantage point, your daily to-do list transforms from a random collection of demands into the specific lines you are contributing to your life's script. Consider the choice to invest time in learning a complex new skill, perhaps a language or a craft. The immediate payoff might be small, the effort is meaningful, and the pressures of daily life will often suggest you spend that hour on something more instantly gratifying. Viewed through the narrow lens of today, it can seem like an inefficient priority, but through the long view, it becomes an essential investment in a lifelong value of growth and mastery. You are writing a chapter about a person who values learning, who embraces challenge, and who builds capabilities for a future self you have not yet met. The immediate pull to relax and scroll loses its power when weighed against the story you truly wish to tell. So, as you look at the priorities commanding your attention right now, ask yourself this shaping question. If you envision your life as a single, unified story, what chapter are you writing with the choices you are making today? The siren call of an urgent notification can derail your entire morning. We live in a world that constantly mistakes urgency for importance, a confusion that scatters our focus and leaves our deepest priorities neglected. The Stoics offer a powerful filter for this modern dilemma, a lens of clear judgment that cuts through the noise. It asks 3 simple questions of any demand on your time. Does this task align with the cultivation of virtue? Is its outcome fundamentally within my control? And does it serve the long-term narrative I wish for my life? Epictetus pointed directly at this human tendency when he observed that we are often distracted by circumstances and occupied with trifles, forgetting what is truly our own affair. The urgent email that flashes on your screen demanding an immediate reply feels pressing. It creates a sense of crisis, a need to react. Yet the important, non-urgent work of strategic planning for your business or your personal growth carries no such alarm. It sits quietly, waiting. The trap is that the urgent, with its artificial pressure, will always shout down the important if you let it. A Stoic approach is to recognize the email for what it is, an external event. Before your hand moves to click, you apply the filter. Responding with integrity is within your control, but the sender's artificial deadline is not. The task of strategic planning, however, aligns directly with the virtue of wisdom and builds the future you desire. The choice becomes clear. You can schedule a calm response for later, preserving your morning's focus for the work that truly builds your legacy. That reactive email is a trifle when weighed against the arc of your life's purpose. So take a moment and apply this Stoic filter to your own list of tasks. What one urgent item are you currently treating as important that you could consciously deprioritize to create space for what genuinely matters? The line between diligent effort and relentless excess is thinner than we often admit. This is the domain of the Stoic virtue of temperance, or moderation, which they defined as the knowledge of what is truly beneficial versus unhelpful, and the wisdom to understand the proper measure of all things. It is the inner compass that guides you to know when enough is truly enough, preventing your priorities from being warped by the constant pull of more. The Roman teacher Musonius Rufus offered a beautifully simple standard for this, stating that the wealth a person needs is not great, and a very small amount is sufficient for living well. He was pointing toward a life of sufficiency, where our priorities are built on what is genuinely needed for a virtuous existence, not on an endless hunger for acquisition. Consider the modern challenge of work-life balance. Temperance does not command you to work less, but to work with clear sight. It is the virtue that helps you recognize the precise moment when your diligent effort has reached its natural and sufficient conclusion for the day. Pushing beyond that point is no longer a pursuit of excellence, but often a surrender to anxiety, pride, or a misplaced sense of indispensability. Temperance quietly suggests that the most beneficial priority now is to stop, to rest, and to turn your attention toward family, reflection, or simple restoration. This is not a loss of productivity, but a profound investment in your long-term capacity for focused work and a meaningful life. The relentless grind, by contrast, is an excess that ultimately diminishes the quality of everything you do. So, with gentle honesty, ask yourself this clarifying question. In what single area of your life is a lack of temperance causing you to over-prioritize one thing at the great expense of all others? Every strategy we have explored serves a single, master priority, the cultivation of a profound inner freedom. This is the liberation from being a servant to your own turbulent emotions, a hostage to shifting external circumstances, or a puppet to the unexamined judgments that so often command your days. The Roman teacher Epictetus, who understood the meaning of personal liberty from a deep and challenging place, gave this goal its most direct expression. He stated plainly, "No one is free who is not master of themselves." Every practice you have learned, from the fundamental dichotomy of control to the thoughtful remembrance of our finite time, is a tool designed for this one ultimate purpose. The discipline of assent, that crucial pause before you react, is how you stop a passing feeling from becoming your master. The view from above is how you loosen the grip of a temporary worry on your spirit. Memento Mori is the clarifying lens that helps you see through the trivial demands that would otherwise consume your life, so you can focus on what grants you true autonomy. These are not separate techniques for managing a busy schedule. They are integrated exercises in a single, lifelong training to become the sole author of your inner world. When your inner citadel is secure, no outside event can truly command your attention without your consent. Your priorities are no longer dictated by the fear of loss, the hunger for approval, or the anxiety of an uncertain future. They flow from a center of calm self-possession. So, as you reflect on everything we have discussed, let this be the final, guiding question against which you measure your path. If inner freedom is the ultimate goal, how do your current priorities measure up? The true power of this Stoic path is that it asks you to do less, not more, but to do it with a profound and intentional calm. We have journeyed from the fundamental distinction between what is within your power and what is not, to the cosmic perspective that quiets daily anxieties, and to the clarifying remembrance of our finite time. We have practiced the discipline of pausing before we react and the art of aligning our desires with our deepest values. Each of these tools serves a single, unified purpose: to clear away the noise so that your one meaningful priority can emerge with unmistakable clarity. Marcus Aurelius offered a final, unifying thought for this entire endeavor when he wrote, "Never forget that the universe is a single living organism, and your own reason is a part of that. To live in accordance with nature is to live in accordance with reason. This is the heart of the matter, to align your daily actions, your chosen priorities, with the reasoned understanding of what you are and what is truly good. Your journey does not end here, it simply begins from a place of greater awareness. For the coming week, I invite you to choose just one principle from our discussion to practice with gentle consistency. Perhaps you will start each day with the dichotomy of control, or end each evening with a moment of thoughtful reflection on time. Then share your choice in the comments below. Let me know which Stoic practice resonated most with you, and join a community of others who are also choosing to build a life of focus and calm, one intentional priority at a time.